Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, beautiful souls. We are back for another episode. We are going live on Instagram. So if you are catching this on our YouTube channel, this is a live episode. We had some technical difficulties when we first started. But child, we are here and it's gonna be a good day no matter what. But before we get started, we do want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. Bree, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Do you have any plans today?
I have to work.
What?
Yeah, I got screwed over on my schedule. This is why I'm telling y'all, working for other people, um, I'm quickly learning, So I originally requested this day off way ahead of time. I didn't really, there's different methods of like requesting days off. And long story short, I had made sure I didn't put this day on my schedule this entire weekend because Carter's birthday's today, y'all. His birthday falls on Mother's Day. And believe it or not, my schedule was changed, and they originally had me on for Saturday and Sunday. Luckily, I was able to find a nurse that was nice to switch me out one day, but I'm still stuck with today. So
okay. Man, it's a lot of birthdays today. Today's my cousin's birthday. Today's my nephew's birthday, and it's Mother's Day. He said it's Carter's birthday.
So we celebrated yesterday. We went to pump it up, and them little legs was just all up and down slide. So we kept him busy. And today it's just been like a little mellow day. I've been sleeping off and on. But yeah, I got a 3-year-old today.
Yeah. I'll tell him I said happy birthday for sure. From TT Leash.
Y'all could just take him for the day.
I know. No, girl, drop him off in Dallas because me and husband, we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do because we didn't go to San Antonio this weekend. I know my mom is missing me, but yeah, we just stayed up here. It's raining today. It's really nothing that we doing. So yeah, drop them off. Give us all the practice. But speaking of Mother's Day, do you have like any special bonds or traditions that you do with your mom or anything like that?
Not really. My mom is not a consistent person every year. Me and the siblings have to get together and figure it out. She loves her chocolate covered strawberries. That's about the only thing that is consistent. Other than that, my mom pretty much tells us what she wants, and we just make it happen. Or she'll drop some hints, and we're like, okay, we get it. So since we live, I can't tell her what our gift is because my mom also got put on the schedule to work today. So she is somewhere doing C-sections and deliveries all day today.
Oh, well, shout out to Bree's mom. I did not know she had to work today. My mom didn't have to. Well, my mom didn't have to work today, but she is at home enjoying her grandbabies. I'm not going to say what her gift is as well because I don't think she's opened it yet. I did send a priority, so she got it. She just ain't had a chance to open it. I called her earlier, and Trey had her at the flea market at 12 o'clock. I said, okay, so yeah, just whenever you can, Mama, just give me a call so you can see what me and Donzel got you for Mother's Day.
Yeah, so Mom won't see hers till 8 o'clock tonight. So I'll just leave it somewhere nice and pretty, and I'm sure she'll call me. She'll call me at work.
Okay, yeah, my mom, we usually do. A couple of years ago, we used to always go to the park for Mother's Day. On my mom's side, some of the family used to rent out the park, and we used to always go to the park to celebrate Mother's Day and do like a barbecue and different things. I know Trey was trying to do that again, but just short notice. And I don't know, how's the weather in San Antonio today?
I haven't been outside. It look a little overcast.
Yes. So I don't even know. And then, you pay all that money to rent the park, and then
if the weather's bad, you got to figure out another way.
Right.
I get it. Now, when I tell y'all I have not, I can't tell you what's going on outside.
Yeah,
Not at all.
So I did go to the grocery store this morning to try to beat the rush and Mother's Day and different things like that. But
Did you beat
it's
it?
already, it's just, yeah, I beat it for the most part, but I did not beat the rain. So that was about it. But I guess we can get into our first topic. So our first topic that we're going to discuss is the whole Gilbert Arenas thing. He made a comment about, I believe his name is Rudy. Cannot pronounce his last name. He won the Defensive Player of the Year or whatever for the NBA. But so Gilbert Arenas had made a comment saying that he shouldn't have missed the playoff game to attend the birth of his first child. So Bree, you being a mother, how what was your feedback on that? How did that make you feel just hearing him say that nonsense? But some people might not think it's nonsense.
You know, to me it came off selfish and very ignorant. My husband ain't never missed the birth of a child for nothing and would not. I don't think, in working in labor and delivery, I see the other side of it. Working in postpartum, I don't think people understand how close to death women get. And it's a very serious thing, especially when mom is going up underneath surgery, or if mom just has baby naturally and vaginally. Anything can go wrong to where she could hemorrhage or something goes wrong with baby. They don't tolerate the delivery. And you're telling a dad that a playoff game was better. Now imagine giving him the news that something went wrong and he wasn't there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't think he thought that through all the way. This man he may never get another playoff game, but he'll never get that connection and that bond of his child being born. That's a one-time thing. You don't get to replay that back. There's no video that you can watch that's going to make it feel the same. Like, there's a connection when that baby comes out. For mom, it's an entire pregnancy bond. For dad, I would tell anybody, it's like that connection. Once they see that baby, you see it. It's like, oh, like my little man, my daughter is finally here. You can't make that up.
Yeah. I think it was kind of selfish too, just because we, even this day and age, we prioritize tournaments and basketball and just sports events. We prioritize that over a lot of things. But when it comes to this instant of, your first child or any child, it doesn't even have to be the first. It's your child being born. A playoff game is going to come. But that memory and that moment, you're not going to get that back. You can get to the playoffs any year.
Yeah, and you can get to the playoff any year, and then you could have played that game and lost, or whatever the case may be, and it's still like you left your wife or your girlfriend there to deliver your child. Like, I done went through the whole 9 months, and you miss out on that. Like, nah, I think that comment that lets you know what his headspace is.
Right.
And I want to say, don't he got kids with like that Gloria girl, the one that used to be with Matt Barnes' sister?
Who, Gilbert Arenas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't that who his?
I think so. I think he has
that
kids.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they have like 3 or 4 together. So there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to hear your experience because you work in that field and you know how important it is for the partner or the man to be in there during that time.
It's a bond. It's a very close bond of having your spouse there to hold your hand and help you breathe, and just, it's a countdown of like, we're finally gonna see our child. And my husband is very involved from my laboring process to after I have the baby. Like, I have a husband that's like, get your sleep, I'll feed the baby, I'll change the baby. Now, I can't say everybody's like that. This new breed, they be like, I'm tired too. Sir, for what? I didn't see you push out nothing, but they will be knocked out sleep. And I have moms that are like, I'm just so tired, baby just keeps waking up. And I'm looking at them trying to get him a hint like, your support system is over there asleep. But I could not imagine not having my spouse. They were like, we always planned all of my kids were scheduled inductions anyway. So my husband already had the opportunity to take the time off. But even when I had emergency situations, like, my husband was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Y'all at his job, it is what it is. figure it out, find somebody else to do it, but I gotta go. So
yeah. And I think too, it's so different being, I guess, a professional athlete too. Um, but I still, he, I don't know, maybe he would have, no, because no amount of money. I was thinking maybe he would have got fined for missing the playoff game.
and I'd have missed it. I'd have took
Yeah,
that fine. But that I know some people try to, as athletes, they try to be smart and try to, calculate the
yeah,
times these babies are born. I mean, that's hard. And I'm pretty sure even when it's not, like, they know that, Sierra Russell Wilson was on a plane.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
That man took a jet. It was like rain through the snow. I'm about to get to my wife for the birth of my baby. So, and they are on what they're like third or fourth. This is the fourth child.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all seen Sierra lately, but honey, that is something about that third and fourth kid. They put a little weight on you. Sierra a little thick, but it looks good on her. It looks wonderful on her. But
right.
Everybody's different. I don't think it was an appropriate comment to make. I would love to know what his response is to what Mr. Gilbert had to say.
Yeah, because he didn't say anything. He did what he needed to do as a future father, husband. He was there. He said the game will be there. It's fine.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, we know it's a risk that they may not make it. It's because of the profession that they're in, unfortunately. And I'm pretty sure the spouse knows that. But at the end of the day, I think most of them rain through the snow are going to make sure that they make it there. You don't get that opportunity back. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I know. Even from like a football perspective, Jason Kelsey, he was playing in the Super Bowl.
And he said,
yeah, he said, if my wife, I think the wife, she might have stayed at the hotel. I'm not sure if she went to the game, but I know he said, just, have the phone, whoever I don't know who it is, just have the phone. If I get that phone call, I got to go.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it was I just didn't agree with his comment.
I'm just shocked off somebody that has children that they would say something like that. But
yeah, But some of the athletes agreed with it. I saw that. I know Shannon Sharp and Ocho had spoke about it, and Ocho Cinco, he had said if he was still playing, that he thinks that his wife would have been like, boy, if you don't go on that field and play, like, we'll be all right. Mm-hmm. I guess it just depends. I don't know. Me personally, when it is that time for us, husband better be ready, because I'm gonna need him in the room, and I'm gonna need my mama, and hopefully there's no limit, because we don't need everybody in the room when it's not time.
You're in Dallas. I would love to be there, but they can so we can go live FaceTime. Or if it's planned, I'll have to just try to take a weekend off and be there. But these babies come when they want to come.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So
yeah, but that won't. Good guys willing, that won't be for maybe another year or two. I know.
Don't hurry up and make me an auntie already. I'm tired. Look, I got bags of clothes I need to get rid of.
Just keep them, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I know we're kind of like, dang, like we are gotta getting older, but we'll see. Motherhood will be with me sooner or later. We'll see. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, the next thing that we're going to talk about, let me look at my notes, is even though today is Mother's Day, we always want to talk about like a health topic. And with this being May, we want to shine some light on it being mental health awareness month. So with Mental Health Awareness Month, I know a lot of people say, oh, you need to prioritize your mental health. You need to take a self day. You need to go to your favorite restaurant. You need to do this. But I think some of that takes away from the actual people that have been diagnosed with something that is a mental health.
Very much true.
Yeah. So Bree, working in the health field, has like the fall you've been up? Have you seen a lot of, with it being the month of May, have you seen like a lot of people coming in, or has it just kind of been steady?
It's pretty steady. We as a unit every morning we do a depression screening on our moms. Because when you are pregnant, you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with a lot of shifting of hormones, and we try to educate our moms ahead of time or catch it ahead of time before they go home and get them the services that they need. If they are somebody that already was diagnosed with depression, or these numbers are coming back and we're like, okay, your depression screening is high, let's talk about it. Let's get you the help that you need. Because the last thing we want to do is send mom home who's sleep deprived with a newborn baby and she has untreated depression, because that can be a domino effect to a lot of different things. And unfortunately, we see it all the time. So unfortunately, on the news where, mom harms baby or murder suicide situations, and we just try to be very preventive of that. I think the biggest rise that we have seen in a long time was during COVID. COVID and people having to shelter in place, not being able to get to their medications. There was like this lapse in medical care, not being able to really go out and talk to therapists, because we were trying to revamp this wheel of telemed. That changed, and unfortunately we saw it across the board with people that were older. We saw it in kids, not being able to socialize. So suicide was high, domestic violence was high during COVID too, because they were at home all the time. So there was a lot more clashes, a lot more stuff like that. But that's what we do in our unit. It's pretty consistent. I get report obviously every day that I work a shift, and I at least have one mom that suffers from a form of anxiety or depression. I don't really get too many that with the bigger, or I say broader perspective of like being schizophrenic or bipolar, but definitely anxiety and depression are like our top two that we see all the time.
Okay. And do you believe is it self-diagnosed, or y'all are making those diagnoses like in real time?
So we don't diagnose, but if a patient tells us in their history that they've had it, then it has to be documented, because we have to show how it's addressed, or if something happens when mom leaves, that falls back on us.
Wow.
Okay. Trust me, when something happens and it's within a certain time period, families and them, how do I say this? When you are grieving a loss, sometimes we would try to pinpoint and put it on something. And that's, you see parents it could be a natural cause of death, and families are so outraged. They're like, the hospital did something, they missed something. And then it becomes this, let's look into a lawsuit kind of thing. So that's why there's all these checks and balances, because somewhere down the road, something obviously has happened. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, do you think it's more common in the labor and delivery side, or is it more common with patients coming maybe into the ER?
Um, I don't work the ER. I do know our hospital has a high level of one-on-ones, and one-on-ones is typically somebody that is going through some form of a mental illness. They're a one-on-one because they might have voiced some suicidal thoughts. We typically have those, it seems like every night that I work, but I'm very close to the state hospital, so I can't say that it may not be a state hospital patient, or, we're also on the south side. There's just a different homeless rate, community rate. Like, I'm pretty sure it may not be the same out there in Stone Oak because of the clientele and stuff that's out there. Not saying that people out there in Stone Oak may not have mental health illnesses, but they possibly also have health care and counselors, you know what I mean? Like, versus somebody that doesn't have insurance and they don't have access to that stuff. So mental health is very, very common. I think this day and time we're more open to talking about it. A lot more jobs are offering mental health assistance. I think we saw a huge shift in mental health assistance during COVID with jobs. And so we're going down the best path. I think, speaking from a minority standpoint, I think we are more accepting to talking about it, because I know my mom's generation, it was very taboo.
Yeah.
There's no, what do you mean you have depression? What do you mean you have anxiety? And there's nothing wrong with you. Kind of get over it. You'll be fine. Mentality, especially with our African American men. There was this, once again, taboo. They don't talk about their emotions. You know,
Yeah.
you fall, get up, don't cry, get back on the bike, kind of thing. And I think we're slowly catching up to it being addressed across the board for everybody.
I agree. I know I have some, well, not some. If you know me, you know most of my close friends are guys, and for them to tell me like, "Oh, I went to therapy today," or, "Sis, can you find a therapist for me?" And even I'll even share about my husband. My husband was like, "I think it's time that I maybe talk with someone." I was like, "Wow, I think for men, they're brought up that way, that, like you said, they have to just be tough, or they
Mm-hmm.
can't show emotion, or I think it's tough for them to grow like that. But I do agree with this day and age. I love that they're making it a priority. I know my job does offer, I think it's about 5 sessions for free. You go
Mm.
and it's a code they give us. And there's certain therapists, it's not everybody, but as long as they take that code, you get 5 free therapy sessions. So you're able to talk with somebody. But going back to what you were saying, with, working in the field that you work in, what are those women able to be discharged if y'all do see something, or if, because there's a series of questions y'all have to ask them. Are the mothers able to be discharged from the hospital if there's any flags?
So depending on what the flags are, now if mom is saying she's suicidal, then obviously we're not going to let her go home with the baby. But just because she has a higher score, it will trigger what we call a social service consult. That social service person will come in, and that will be addressed and deemed off what they find, and a collaboration with the team will determine whether or not they go home. The 99% of the time they go home. But
Wow.
because of what their screening is, it's going to trigger um, things that need to be addressed. And then they'll kind of track it over the form of a couple of days. Like I said, social service will get involved, and, are you on medication? Are you not? Do you currently have like, all these are questions that have to be asked. Do you currently have a therapist? Or is this a first time thing that it hasn't been diagnosed, and your screening is up to where we need to put you with the appropriate resources for it to be addressed?
Yeah.
But yeah, if we have a mom that's like to the T of like, I'm suicidal, she's not going home.
Yeah. I think that's what, if I'm being honest, makes me a little bit nervous about motherhood, just because I don't, you grow up like learning things. Like, you learn how to play sports, you grow up learning things in school. Like, you kind of just, you go off of what you see. And when I grew up, I didn't really, my mom, I don't, like, I have a little brother, but my little brother, he's like 4 years younger than me. So I'm not comfortable around like little babies. So I think that's what makes me kind of nervous the most. It's just like, I don't feel like I'm prepared to have a child and to be a mother. Um, and just going through that whole process. Because, like you said, you hear stories about just women having anxiety, and you see everything on social media. So I know with me personally, that's what kind of makes me a little nervous about it. So I can just kind of feel my anxiety going when it comes to it. But I think, I know you told me, like, sis, you just know, like, your body will start changing, and you'll just, it's a switch once
It
you
is a
find out.
switch for majority of women. Now there are some situations where the switch just don't switch. There's like some wiring back there that just ain't right. But most women, we are put on this earth to be nurturing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a part of our DNA. I will tell you, there is really no perfect time to have a baby. There's not enough classes you could take. There's not enough financial situation you could save. Now, there's when I say that, you want to be financially responsible. Like,
Yeah.
don't come in needing assistance, and don't I don't think having a baby at 16 is appropriate. So there's those tweaks of like right time, right financial situation, but there's no perfect situation. There's just not. When you have a baby, it is based off you adapting to what works for you and your household. I cannot stress that enough. Taking advice from people is great, but you will know what works for your baby. If feeding him every 3 hours works for you, but your mama, somebody like, put a bottle in that baby mouth every hour and a half, you looking at them like, but that's not what he wants. You will tailor it to what works for you. It's a learning experience. I don't have it down. I have 4 kids, and each one of them is different. I'm dealing with 4 different personalities, 4 different how they like to eat. I have one that loves meat, but he hates vegetables. I got 2 that eat any and everything. They don't care. I have a daughter who's like, if her daddy not feeding it to her, she whatever. Yeah. So it's different. Personalities are different, but it's an overall beautiful experience. It's challenging, but it's rewarding.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll get
let's there. Thanks, sis. Hopefully, yeah. No, I will. I'm getting there. Like, I feel like even with my brothers, and their kids, like, it's getting there. It's gotten better I will say, it's gotten better from a year ago, because I had my little 3-month rule. Like, I'm not holding a baby until they 3 months. But now, I'm getting comfortable.
I never knew that was a big thing until I met my husband. He won't hold nobody's baby. If it's not his, he's not for holding it. He's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Whatever. And he is the only thing with Chris, when it comes to babies, is he does not feel comfortable bathing them as babies. So that was a whole like adapting process. But I mean, one out of the other million things that he can have that like I'm not gonna do, changing diapers. I was like, no problem. I don't mind bathing the kids until you feel comfortable. But he just feels like, oh, they're slippery, they're tiny, they're gonna be on the flow.
Yeah, see, me and Chris, we twins, because that's how I feel too. Like, they're just so small. I don't know. I've gotten better with my newest nephew. My sister-in-law, she's like, come on, just hold him. I'm like, okay. And then when I hold him, he's just minding his business in his own little world. So yeah, I've gotten better. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll have our first Sistahs with a Purpose little baby.
Hey, well, you gonna be the one and only. I don't know. It's laughs and giggles of a 5th one over here, but I don't. We'll see.
All right, well, I guess tying into our last part, before we get into our last topic, make sure to head over to our YouTube page and like, comment, and subscribe, and watch our recent videos too. A lot of our videos have gotten a lot more views lately, so we are appreciative of that. So thank y'all for all the new followers, and we are very appreciative of it. And I do want to shout out our last interviewer, Camille, one last time. You all, Camille's video has gotten a lot of views, and we are so appreciative of it. So I do want to just thank Camille for just opening up and being vulnerable about a topic that touched a lot of people. So,
but she did an amazing job.
Yeah, she was a little nervous, but no, it was so good to catch back up with Camille, and I was so thankful that she was able to come on our platform and share her story. But as we get into our last topic, we're going to end with mental health awareness, and I will actually be interviewing Bree. So Bree, let's go ahead and talk about it. So what were you diagnosed with, and when were you kind of diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2014. Okay. If you don't know, I know some of you guys, it may be your first episode, but I was in the military close to 5 years, stationed in a couple of different places. Unfortunately, saw a couple of different things, experienced a couple of different things. And so, yeah, I was diagnosed in 2014. And then that following year, I just had like a long history of a couple of other medical things with having to have surgery, and I wound up having to medically retire in 2015. So,
okay. What made you go see a doctor?
so for me, it started out with depression. Depression hit very, very heavily, and it was something, like I said, taboo. Like my parents didn't discuss with me. I just felt like not like myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what you call those gloomy days, just not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to eat, um, just the feeling of like nothing was going right. Um, my anxiety started to increase a lot. Not being able to trust certain places, not wanting to sit with my back to the door. A lot of that stuff started to come around, and I was like, this isn't a norm. Let me tell somebody about it. And then I think the last thing that was huge for me is I wasn't sleeping. I would do good with maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and of course, sleep, not getting sleep, depression, and anxiety. It was just a tornado um, waiting to happen. So those were the three biggest things for me that was like, okay, something's not right.
Right. And do you think anyone is it like, does it run in your family, or is it more just you noticed that something wasn't right with you over time?
So that I'm aware of, I'm the only one in my direct family,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for the most part outside that's been diagnosed with PTSD. So my parents didn't even know like what's that, because it's very much in I think if people don't know what PTSD is, post traumatic stress disorder. Okay, I think a lot of people also consider it just a military thing. That is not true. You can have PTSD outside of being in the military. It is when your body is responding to a traumatic event. So it can be a car accident, it can be a shooting, it could be you seeing somebody pass, something that triggers this response, and it can happen to anybody. So I think
Right.
the other thing too is when I was diagnosed with PTSD, I was like, well, I haven't been deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq. Like, what do you mean? And so somebody had to break it down to me and was like, absolutely not. Um, Mine came about in several bouts. I won't go deep into detail, but I had a member of I had a supervisor. I'll break it down in kind of lingo, who unfortunately killed one of my colleagues, um,
This is in the
in
military?
the military.
Okay.
Um, so that was big. That was part of a trigger. Unfortunately, being at Fort Hood, I was there for one of the shootings. Um, and then I had some other stuff that happened within my command. So when you bottle all that up, um, and you're in a space, and those who are military veterans can relate, well, when these traumatic events happen, and I know they've gotten better since 2014, 2015, it's very much this response of, are you okay? And then like it feels like 5 minutes later, okay, we got to get back to work. And that's not normal.
Right. Yeah.
And you think about it, you have to think about it from outside of the military. When something traumatic happens, there's it triggers like a condolences, and your coworkers are constantly checking on you and let's get you some help. That's not how the military has been. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
it falls on leadership, self, but that's not how it is. We're very much this happened, and okay, we got to go back to reactive and planning for whatever we have coming up and going on. So what you will often hear a military member service person say is you get numb, because
Mm-hmm.
often, unfortunately, in the military, things are constantly happening. Some of those situations being very traumatic because you're deploying, there's training exercises, there's stuff happening, and you get so used to hearing negative that you just treat it like it's another form of another day, not knowing that all you're doing is you're just internalizing it. it's there, but you're
Right.
internalizing it, and then something may trigger it for it to come out in another way. And that's unfortunately what happened for me. I was just internalizing and building and building and building until that internal started to be external, and started playing factors in my work and my sleep. It festered, into where I was like, okay, it's time. I need to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say what would be the best? Because I don't you they offer medication obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
what would you say was the best treatments for you when you were going and experiencing that?
Um, a combination of both. Consistency with therapy. Everybody's therapy looks different. I have done several forms of therapy. I've done counselor, I've done group settings, I've done specialized therapy, like cognitive affective therapy, where they take the actual trauma and then you try to break it down to where it's like a least response.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and each one of them has been helpful in their own way. I think for me overall, from 2014 or prior to 2014 till now, I prefer just my one-on-ones. There's nothing wrong with group therapy, but sometimes group therapy can trigger you because you're hearing somebody else's negative responses to their
Right.
trauma, and it can become too much. It can be very emotional. Medication wise, medication is tailored to everybody different. There's so many different forms of medications that you can take. It is really honestly having a good team of doctors that talk
Mm-hmm.
that I think works best. And that's what's worked best for me. Like a therapist and psychologist, they're in combination, and somebody that really listens to you, um, comes a long way. I recently the year before last, no, last January. So we just kind of hit a year. Learned about trigger months. Nobody had ever talked to me about that before. I didn't know that that was a thing. And until like I started kind of feeling a little gloomy and a little funky, and I'm like, why do I feel this way? I'm doing my therapy, and she finally was like, hey, what months did some of this stuff happen in? And I
Mm-hmm.
was putting out the months, and she was like, oh, well, you're saying February is one of your trigger months. We're in January. And so this is how smart the body is. We don't mentally have to speak something out for it to happen. Your body can just sync to automatically start dealing with trauma before you're already mentally thinking about it. And so my body
Wow.
had gotten used to just like, oh, here's February. We know February 15th is a trigger day for Brianna. Yeah, no sleep. It was kind of building. And
Wow.
so when somebody pointed that out to me, I'm like, okay, now I know how to self prep before those months come. I know November is a big one for me because unfortunately that's when I lost one of our colleagues. So let me think about the happy days. Let me think about the positives instead of the negatives of being at Fort Hood when this trauma and stuff happened. So it's different ways and techniques. I will tell anybody there's nothing wrong with seeking help and getting help. There's nothing wrong with being labeled with a form of a diagnosis. It's very common. It's a lot more common than you think. I'm still bubbly, just as successful. I'm still do nursing. I have 4 kids. I'm married. You can still have all these things. Nothing is going to take away from that. And if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be any good for anybody else. Yeah.
Right. So how do you, other than like you said, you have a therapist, and what other ways do you take care of yourself?
Me time,
Okay.
self time. I do have an amazing partner that recognizes some of my triggers, and then some things I just kind of stay away from. I don't. Um, I think the biggest thing that I have brought up in the past couple of years is self peace and
Mm-hmm.
awareness and being what I call centered. Anything that I feel like is going to disrupt that, I don't deal with and I don't tolerate. And that has helped me a lot.
Good.
But my self-care is different. It can just be taking a couple of hours away from the house and just doing like mani pedi to, taking a trip. But I have to have those resets. Have to have those resets on top of doing therapy, on top of doing everything else that they recommend. Those are important. And sometimes you're just gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's no matter what I do, I'm going to have a bad day. And high response things. I think even from 2014 till now, I would say last January was the most traumatic, lowest I had ever been, ever been since the traumas had happened. And it took me just to regroup and recenter. We think it was a combination of PTSD and, for the first time, even with my fourth kid, postpartum depression, and those two merged together, and they just did not. They didn't look pretty, and that's something that we really didn't talk. We talked about a little bit, but postpartum depression can come at any point in time with any baby. I'd had 3 babies prior, never went through postpartum depression. Don't even know what it looked like, and then I have Casey, and it's like, oh, wow, that's what that is. And I was at a higher risk for developing postpartum depression because I was a candidate that had depression in the past, anxiety, and PTSD. So that shift in hormones, already dealing with that, those two collaborated together last year. So yeah.
Wow. So I guess as of today, what's today? May 12th, Mother's Day. How are you feeling today with your mental health?
I'm good. I'm balanced, but it's a constant, it's a daily thing that I have to make a choice to have a good day. Like I said, I can do what I feel all the right things, and something can be a trigger for it or something like that. But it's a daily battle. I can't say it's a monthly, a weekly. It's a daily choice of doing what I have to do and staying centered and staying grounded and keeping God at the forefront and praying for the things that I can't overcome on myself, and having a very, very good support team that's understanding. All those play a factor. But I will say to those that don't have those things, the very first thing you have to do is just get that self-strength and that endurance to seek help.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, because I think it's tough that you want to talk to someone, but sometimes you don't know who to reach out to. So who would you like, if you don't have like that friend or that family member, what would you suggest would be the best way for someone to kind of reach out for help?
It depends on the severity. Obviously, if it is the case of you wanting to commit suicide, there are suicide awareness hotlines that you can call. You can always go to the ER. Those are the two biggest things if you're wanting, to call self-harm. They're like, can be anonymous and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you are, just saying, hey, I know that there is a problem, maybe your employer may have resources, so follow up with them in your HR and see if there's like free classes like we were talking about. If that's not an option, then just kind of check in with the city. That's one option. Or there's sometimes different state resources that they may offer for free, at least for 1 or 2 counseling sessions. Or you can always go, if you have insurance, you can always go to your primary health, and then they can put in a consult and direct you into the right place to go. Yeah.
So if you do struggle with mental health, just know that there are plenty of options out there. I think this is the year that everybody's kind of just speaking out on things to kind of change it. So if don't be. I know it's easier said than done, but
Mm-hmm.
if you are struggling with something, you do not have to do it by yourself. There's plenty of resources out there. You can always get on Google and just see what's available in your city or state.
Yeah, you can always look our inbox. We have one.
Yeah.
If you need to, kind of bounce back, like, hey, I'm going through this, or additional resources, then feel free to reach out to me, especially from the military standpoint and dealing with the VA and or if you're still in the military, checking in with like your behavioral site centers and stuff, because I know it can just be tricky. I know you can feel like you don't want people judging you in the military, but I cannot stress enough that you have to take care of yourself. You're already replaced before you're replaced. So you might as well take care of yourself.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up another episode of Sisters with a Purpose. Before we get out of here, we do just want to remind you all that if you aren't following us on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram. Share it with a friend, a colleague. You might be friends with people you work with.
Yes.
Just share it with your friend or colleague, because you never know what that person may need to hear, and we could touch them. But please follow us on our Instagram. If you haven't already, you can head over to our YouTube page. Our link to our YouTube page is in our Instagram profile. So all you gotta do is click on it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We try to put out content every month, once a month, whether this is our first live episode. We had some technical difficulties before we started, but I'm so proud of us. We are just two best friends, sisters, just started this podcast and just putting ourselves out there in a vulnerable spot on the internet. So we are so appreciative of all of our followers and our new followers, and to the ones that were able to just catch a glimpse of us on our live. I don't think we put out a time, but we just said today, and we know that you might be spending time with your mothers. I was glad to see some of the people. I saw some names kind of pop in for a little bit, so we are thankful for that. Bree, you got anything before I want to let you get a little bit of rest before you got to head in tonight for work.
I know. I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, 2.5 hours. No, I love what I do. Let me stop saying I'll wake up when I get to the hospital and I'll do my little daily prayers. I'm walking in. No, but to everybody, have a wonderful Mother's Day. Enjoy y'all's day. And most importantly, stay safe.
Yeah.
And let's prepare for a whole nother week.
All right. Well, again, happy Mother's Day, Bree.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to my mom. I know she's probably watching. She ain't called me back yet, but happy Mother's Day, Mom. She is Gigi 24/7, 365. So I know she had got busy, but happy Mother's Day. And then also happy Mother's Day to my grandmother. Like I said, my grandmother did play a huge impact in my life. Both of my grandmothers, but just want to give everybody that representation. Goodness gracious, that is a mother. Just enjoy your day. Don't do anything. Just relax and just know we love you.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Till we see y'all again.
All right. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.